We have a fundamental misunderstanding of failure. We tend to treat it like an event that happens at the very end of a process. A launch that doesn't work, a prototype that gets rejected, a plan that just goes completely off the rails. So we do these post-mortems on failed projects, searching for that one moment where it all collapsed. But this entire approach, it's flawed. It's looking for the evidence of failure in the wrong place and at the wrong time.
So, to really understand why so many solutions fail, we have to go back to the origin point. We need to approach this not like a project manager, but more like a forensic investigator. We have to ask a totally different question. Where does the failure truly begin?
And the answer is pretty stark. Failure usually isn't an accident that happens during execution. For most solutions, it's actually a feature of their conception. The genetic code for failure is written the very moment the solution gets a name. It's embedded in that first step, long before a single dollar is spent or any real action is taken. So the first critical failure point is cognitive. It happens in the mind, way before it ever shows up in the real world. It's all about what happens to our thinking when we find what we believe is an answer.
I want you to think of a problem as a vast, unexplored landscape. The real goal should be to understand its terrain, right? But the moment a solution is proposed, the second it's given a name, a cognitive switch just flips. The deep, patient work of exploration, it just stops. All the energy shifts to bridging the gap from where we are to that desired future, and the inquiry process gets shut down.
To really understand this shutdown, we need to carefully pull apart two cognitive states. They're often confused from one another, but they are, in fact, total opposites: the pursuit of clarity and the arrival of certainty. Clarity is an expansive state of mind. It's this ongoing process of mapping the problem, of seeing all its interconnections, its hidden contours, all the nuances. It is a state of active learning, of discovery. It's actually comfortable with not knowing, because its entire purpose is to understand more deeply. Certainty, on the other hand, is a reductive state. It is the end of discovery. It collapses that complex, rich landscape of the problem into just a single, well-defined path. It's a state of conviction, basically, a declaration that the map is finished and the destination is known. And this right here really shows the architecture of that cognitive shift. See, clarity generates more questions. Certainty demands alignment to the answer. Clarity embraces ambiguity. It sees it as a source of information. Certainty rejects nuance because nuance threatens the chosen path. And here's the crucial point. Clarity expands the field of possibility, while certainty contracts it. The arrival of a solution signals that very transition. That raises a question, doesn't it? If proposing a solution is so good at ending the thinking process, why are we always in such a hurry to do it? Well, this moves our investigation from the cognitive realm to the psychological architecture of systems. Let's take a look at its hidden function. If a solution's main purpose isn't actually to solve the problem in the most effective way, then what is it for? What need is it really fulfilling inside the system? The answer is that a solution is often a psychological tool long before it's a practical one. Within any group, uncertainty creates anxiety, and named solution works to bring that anxiety down. It signals that someone is in control, that the chaos is being managed. It provides a kind of emotional safety by creating a sense of predictability. And it protects the group from that very deep, very human fear of the unknown. Routine feels safe. Something new and uncertain feels dangerous. So the proposed solution is really functioning as a shield. It's a psychological defense mechanism that protects the organization, not from the problem itself, but from the incredible discomfort of having to live with that problem in a state of unresolved ambiguity. This psychological need for safety has a powerful effect on the actual physical structure of an organization. It creates something that you could describe as a systemic immune response to new ideas. Think about it. No new solution, no matter how brilliant it is, gets introduced into an empty space. It is injected into a living system, an organization that has an established structure, a history, a culture, and a really powerful instinct for self-preservation. It is always a collision. And here lies the very core of that collision. A meaningful solution almost always requires flexibility, but the system is built to defend its hierarchy. The solution demands adaptation, but the system defaults to its established routines and habits. The solution thrives on open inquiry, but the system protects its existing rules. And maybe most importantly, the solution represents divergence, while the system's immune response is literally designed to enforce conformity. In this collision, the outcome is nearly always the same. The system, with its immense structural inertia, does not change to accommodate the solution. Instead, the solution is forced to change. It gets compromised, diluted, and shrunk until it can fit within the rigid confines of the existing structure, stripped of the very novelty that made it valuable in the first place. So what does this whole forensic analysis reveal? Well, it suggests a pretty profound reframing of what it means to be effective. It requires us to shift our focus away from this relentless pursuit of answers. The conventional wisdom is always pushing us toward finding a better, faster, more innovative answer. But our investigation shows this is a trap. The very act of seeking and naming an answer prematurely is what kicks off the entire sequence of failure. So the goal, it just cannot be a better answer. And this leads us to the final and most crucial question. If the goal isn't producing answers, then what is the primary capacity that a truly effective and adaptive system must cultivate?
The core capacity is not problem solving, but something that comes long before it: problem sensitivity. It is the ability to keep working, to keep asking questions, to discover the deep structure of a problem when everyone else has already moved on, satisfied with a superficial answer. It's the capacity to see what is not yet obvious. This capacity requires a very specific mindset. It demands a comfort with ambiguity. It is the ability to remain in those fluid, unresolved situations, the very state that creates so much anxiety in most systems, and to see them not as a danger to be eliminated, but as a space of opportunity and learning. And this brings us to the ultimate conclusion of our analysis. The architecture of success is not built on the speed of finding a solution. It is built on the strength to resist it. Meaningful, lasting change begins not when we find better answers, but when we cultivate the courage to delay them.